That's a tag match, man. Now that was a tag match. What's up, unit? Salute. How you doing? Welcome to a special Sunday edition of Amped Up featuring the NXT Vengeance Day 2025 review. This review will be in real time. The event is currently live, so I'll be on and off through some edits, but there's currently been two matches that have gone off the airwaves. We have a new NXT, BC, North American Women's Champion. A new title holder was crowned tonight. We'll talk all about it. A kick-ass tag team match just went off the airwaves, man. Candidate easily for tag team match of the year. We'll talk about that as well. And the matches still to come. So NXT Vengeance Day is live. So it's going to be a unique review, man, in real time. The closest thing to a live review that I can give you guys. Now, simultaneously, looks like Ethan Page is gearing up for his match later in the night. We're in between matchups now. We're about to go into the third matchup. Again, I'll go over complete results and my thoughts on match 1 and match 2. Just a couple minutes. Oh, looks like we're going strap match first. Thorpe versus Trick Williams. That'll be match 3. So all things Vengeance Day is coming up. Grab your coffees, grab your beverages, sit back, max, relax while BC drops the facts. But I also want to talk real quick AEW Grand Slam Australia, because that is also hitting the airwaves tonight. It's already been taped in Australia, guys, so most everybody else is going to catch the tape delay of Grand Slam. I have all of the results for you guys. The reason I can't give this a proper review is it's not coming on till way later, so that's actually pretty good for Tony Khan. You don't want to go right up against NXT right now. NXT is hotter than AEW. NXT pulling roughly 750 to 775 viewership. Tony Khan's right around 600,000. It's not smart business to go head-to-head with NXT right now. Luckily for AEW, they have the NBA All-Star Game events. So that is on live right now, TBS TNT. At around 10:30, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, that is when Grand Slam is going to take the airwaves. Again, on a tape delay. That's why we already have the results. So maybe a lot of you guys have caught it, even with that time discrepancy going on way later and not finishing to the early morning hours. Maybe some of you guys caught it. A lot of you guys maybe just caught the results, the spoilers, if you will. So no matter what, that's what I want to go over right now. So you either caught it, you already know about it, or you're about to find out about it. But I want to go over Grand Slam Australia. A lot of the results, guys, are pretty much what we already knew. So don't worry if it's kind of like earmuffs. You kind of want to know the spoilers from BC, but you're not sure. Guys, nothing happened on this show that was kind of out of the norm. A couple of the actual finishes itself, like how they were done, little surprising, like Mox and Cope, which we'll go over. But everything else was pretty much status quo. So you don't got to put the earmuffs on. Let's go over it right now. If you hear any background noise, that is because, again, the NXT event is currently live, Vengeance Day. So let's go over Grand Slam Australia, man. Ospreay and Omega defeated the Callis crew. Mercedes Moné retained her TBS title, defeating Harley Cameron. Mox and Claudio defeated Jay White and Copeland. Shafir bashed Cope over the dome piece with the briefcase, and then Cope was subsequently choked out by Mox. The crowd was not happy, chanting bullshit post-match, before then giving Cope a standing O. Okada defeated Buddy Matthews via pinfall to retain the Continental Championship. Toni Storm defeated Mariah May via Storm Zero pinfall to become the 4-time AEW Women's Champion. A huge "You deserve it" chant for Toni ended the show, ended this taping. So that's what I mean. Nothing really was out of the norm, nothing out of the box to which we didn't think was going to happen. That was your card tonight. That's how it all played out. Mercedes has retained. Okada does have his championship still. It's Toni Storm that became the new champion. Mox still has his title as well. So nothing groundbreaking, guys. AEW Grand Slam Australia. So if you guys caught the event itself, no matter when it aired in your area, was this event worth it, even though the results were not groundbreaking? Was it still a really good show top to bottom? Go ahead and give your feedback. But that's my thoughts on Grand Slam. That's the spoilers anyway, and my thoughts on it, nothing that was must-see. But again, maybe the matches were all just top-notch. Maybe that part of it was must-see. So that's what I got for you guys, man. Just wanted to touch base on Grand Slam Australia. And by the way, side note, Tony Khan started everything off, welcoming everybody, giving a little Tony Khan speech, I guess. And I guess it was a mixed reaction. Crowd was amped up and pumped up, but Tony kind of got a mixed reaction. I think that's also, you got to remember, a lot of the fans there in Australia, they really thought it was going to be a special pay-per-view event and not just a taping for like a collision. So they were not exactly too thrilled with that decision. All right, guys, we got a strap match about to take place now. Thorpe is in the ring. He's waiting for Trick Williams, his opponent. Before we get to that, there's a couple matches I want to talk about that already have been live and have already went off the airwaves. The first match of this Vengeance card was Stephanie Vaquer versus the champion Fallon Henley. And just as we thought, man, we have a new North American Women's Champion. It is Stephanie. So Stephanie defeats Fallon Henley via pinfall, becomes the new Women's North American Champion, ends Fallon's 111-day title reign, if my Steiner math serves me correctly. I believe she won it October 27th. I believe. I didn't put it in my notes. I probably should have. I think it was October 27, which would be roughly 111 days of a title reign. So, not that much. She did have a lot of defenses, actually, though. She's had a lot of matches, at least, since. So, it's not like she hasn't been busting her ass and putting in the work. But it's just about a little over 3-month reign. End of October, all in November, December, January, and into November. So, yeah, just over 3 months. But this was always for Stephanie, man. Giulia won the NXT Women's Championship. Whichever one that Shawn Michaels chose, whether it was going to be Stephanie to beat Rok-C or Giulia, the other one was going to win the North American title. I told you guys that. And sure enough, to boot, that's exactly what happened. The same night Giulia won that championship, Stephanie's quest for that North American title began. And this was just the final exclamation point on that. So now you have Giulia and Stephanie. Both came to WWE roughly the same time. And both now hoisting up both singles championships. So what a big night for Stephanie. For Fallon Henley, and I want to broaden that out, right? I want to kind of widen that a little bit. Not just talk Fallon, but I want to talk Fatal Influence. I feel that I don't know if they can dig out of this ditch that has been kind of dug for them. It's going to be hard to do. They've already been booked so poorly, and I'm not just talking about L's, right? They can take L's, especially being heels. Heels can take more L's than faces. But it's how they're taking them, right? They're starting to get into that realm of the entire group is being put down by one individual time after time. And that's what happened tonight. We saw instances where Stephanie was taking out the whole group, like that springboard off the top rope to the outside, literally eliminating all of Fatal Influence. With that type of booking going forward, and their champion just lost her title, I just don't know what's more for Fatal Influence. Like, how are fans going to take them seriously again? It's a shell easily of what Toxic Attraction used to be. This isn't even close to that, let alone on the same level. So there is big concerns there with the booking of Fatal Influence, how they have been booked. But that's another story. This right now, this whole situation, it's really about Stephanie. This is her crowning moment. This was her big achievement. This is what she came here for. She nailed it, man. One of many titles I see in this girl's future, and I just don't see her lingering in NXT for too long. I don't. I just feel like she's main roster bound. By Mania next year, I feel Stephanie's already going to be there. Main roster. Big title change to kick off Vengeance Day. Stephanie, your new North American Women's Champion. Guys, when I say candidate for Tag Team Match of the Year, no joke. And I'm not even big on tag team wrestling these days because it's just so bad. There's good tag teams, but there's just no division. The promoters don't care about the divisions anymore. So we just see number one contenderships being made by Fatal 4-Ways, championship matches. You just have all the tag teams in there together. Tag team turmoil, tag team battle royal. There's no interesting storylines, nothing that captivates you to tag team wrestling anymore. Had to do a little cut there, man. Thorpe is currently laying into Trick Williams in that leather strap. He's letting Trick Williams... Oh, Williams just got pissed, bro. Now he's laying into Thorpe. I think the theme of the night, maybe they had a little a pre-event meeting with Shawn Michaels and all the talent. Like, just go out there, be physical, and just wow out. Because we're seeing a lot of physicality, man. This is almost right up there with Inamura and his chops to Fraxium, both Frazier and Axiom, which is what I want to talk about now, that tag team match. Fraxium versus Josh Briggs and Inamura. Guys, this whole thing was just hard-hitting. Inamura is just, like, that's a different type of beast. You say King of Strong Style, we put Shinsuke on that pedestal. Inamura is like another level. Everything he threw was just hard hitting. Like you wouldn't think it's choreographed, rehearsed, right? You think this dude would thought he was showing up to the octagon. Mixed martial arts or something. Inamura came for a fight. The chops, one of them almost sent Frazier into the 20th row. It was physical, guys. And then there was one, maybe it was Axiom. I'm getting mixed up, man. It was so fast-paced that I didn't get most of what I wanted to put in my notes. But one of these boys gave a super kick to Inamura, and it hit him flesh on the jaw. This dude dropped like a ton of bricks right where he was standing. So even Fraxium in their return delivery, right, their volleying back offense was matching what Inamura was giving out. So I hope that makes sense. It was, and Josh Briggs, this is probably the best that I've seen this dude. Hot take, not a popular take, I get it, but I've never been too impressed with Briggs. Never. Every time I see the dude, I don't even think I talk much about him. That's how it just doesn't do it for me. This is the best I saw this dude, and I don't know if it's because Inamura was bringing out the best of him, but just everybody just bashing each other, just like this matchup, man. This strap match with Eddie Thorpe and Trick Williams. I mean, they are just banging out with one another. But this tag team match, so good. Fraxium, of course, collects the W. They're going to retain. That was as expected. Kind of like the AEW Grand Slam card where you kind of knew every match outcome. This is one of those matches you knew. There was no way that Briggs and Inamura were winning those titles. And I don't think they should have. But they left their calling card for sure. I mean, they left their mark. They made a lot of people turn and go, wait, who is this? So sometimes there's victory and defeat. I feel that for Briggs and Inamura. But Fraxium win this matchup. They retain. Guys, I know I've said it a couple times. Candidate easily for tag team match of the year. So if you got a moment, if there's nothing else you see from this event. Now I'm saying this just into the third match. Maybe there's going to be a couple matches that surpass it. But if you see nothing else in this event, check out some of that tag match. It was wild. So first two matchups, really good, man. Newsworthy for sure in match number one. We have a new North American title holder. All right, so another little edit there so BC could have some more coffee. And since we did that last edit, two more matches have come to their conclusions. That leather strap match between Trick Williams and Eddie Thorpe, that has finished. I have the results. my amplified thoughts on that. That was actually a shocker, man, to a lot of fans, especially in attendance. So we'll talk about that strap match. And Javon Evans versus Ethan Page has just concluded. Now, before I get to those matchups, while I was watching Page and Evans, a little light bulb went off. BC realized I forgot to talk about something big that happened after Fraxium retained their titles. After that tag match, a bunch of individuals jumped into the ring, attacked Fraxium. They were just being referred to by commentary as the PC Boys, the Performance Center Boys. And it looks like they're led by Dion Lennox, I believe is his name. Correct? Do I have that in my notes? I think. A lot was happening kind of fast, but I think it was Dion Lennox that was kind of leading this group. And so it looks like this is, I don't know if it's a full takeover type faction, or is this just going to be for the tag title scene, right? Not the whole NXT, not NXT as a whole, but they're kind of just going for the tag titles maybe. But no matter what, you have to be careful with this. I'm not saying it's going to be as glorious, as big, as prestigious as an NWO takeover, but you got to make sure it's not going to be as bad as a Retribution takeover, because we all remember how bad Retribution was. It was not done good at all. And it never could get back on the track. So every week, every show, it just seemed like it got worse. This PC post-match beating on Fraxium, it had the potential to be cringeworthy. Because I had so much going on, I won't say it was. I'll give it one more chance. I'll try to catch it again. But when the crowd is just chanting, "Who are you? Who are you?" That's not good. And I understand BC. I mean, they don't know who they are. They're a bunch of performers from the Performance Center. It's going to take them time. So, yeah, that's their big debut. But still, nobody was in awe of the beating. Nobody was like, "Whoa, what is this? This is cool." They were kind of laughing and chanting, "Who are you?" Like, it was just a bunch of people, black hoodies and masks, black jeans. It's got the potential to be really bad if not booked correctly and even flawlessly. I'm just going to give that advice to Shawn Michaels and NXT. They better book a faction, a team, a group like that flawlessly, or this is really going to hurt NXT. I don't get it. If I had the booking pen, I probably would not have booked that. But I did want to spend a couple of minutes on that post-match attack from the tag title matchup, because I did forget to do that previous. You talk about if I had the booking pen, what I would and wouldn't book, by the way. This next matchup, we already talked a little bit about it, because in that last edit, that was the match that was currently on. And it was that strap match between Trick Williams and Eddie Thorpe. That match has concluded. I would not have booked that finish. It was a legit shock, especially to the fans in attendance. Eddie Thorpe pins Trick Williams, wins that strap match. Guys, and it was simplistic. It just was. He gave, I think, Trick like a knee to the dome piece. Commentary tried to act like Trick was kind of tangled up in the leather strap, but Trick is a big dude, and he was not that tangled up from what I saw. It was, I think that's what shocked people the most. Not that Thorpe won or that he's not deserving of a push. It's how he beat Trick, man. I would not have booked Trick like that. Even if the boss, Michaels, Hunter Helms, anybody says, "BC, I need Williams to lose this match." Bottom line, I don't care how you get to that point, but I need Williams to lose. I need Thorpe to go over. Cool. You gotta book it much, but you gotta save Trick Williams some face. That was the shocker of the night. Not even Stephanie winning that North American title was a shocker to BC and to many of you guys, or even to that crowd. Cool moment, but the shocker was just watching Williams not just lose, but the way that he lost. Got to find out more on that. It looks like they want to put at least a piece of a rocket on Thorpe. That's cool. Let's not forget to book your other top talent correctly in the process. That was really odd. The next matchup was a simplistic matchup as well. Ethan Page versus Javon Evans. They tried to give it their all, But I think coming off of the Fraxium tag match, it was kind of like, I don't think pure wrestling-wise anything can truly top that. So they tried. In the end, the finish wasn't anything really creative anyway. So I don't think that was ever destined to help whatever they did. And Paige just pins 1, 2, 3 Javon Evans for the W. So that's what I mean. For a pay-per-view, for what we already saw in the night, that really good tag team match, the new champion Stephanie, the shocker Trick Williams losing the way that he did. It's like, what's the big headline for Ethan Page, Javon Evans? Right? Every other match has a little bit of a headline to it. This was the only match number 4, Paige and Javon, that didn't really have a headline attached to it. When you're going over the matches the next day at the water cooler or, water cooler at school, or you're just around the guys at work and you're talking about the event, I don't know if that match is really going to be brought up. So I know that might seem a little harsh, man. I'm giving you guys my amplified thoughts on these matchups in real time. And speaking about real time, man, a triple threat for Oba's championship has just kicked off. It is the tag team imploding, kind of. 2/3 of this triple threat. Grayson Waller versus Austin Theory versus Oba Femi. So I'll do my due diligence on this matchup. I'll catch this one. Maybe, I don't know, I might catch the rest of the card, and then we'll come right back and I'll give you my thoughts on maybe the rest. Unless something really big happens on this, then we'll just cut right back in. So a lot has happened since that last edit. First and foremost, Oba Femi has retained his NXT championship. That's not a shocker. We expected him to defeat Waller in Theory, walk away with that title. I think the biggest shocker was just how much Waller in Theory imploded. And it was really Waller who was blocking Theory from getting that championship at every turn. Now, as just kind of obvious as it was how much further Grayson was willing to go at any cost than Theory was, you also can't blame him. It's a triple threat. You want to see your boy do good, but you're not just going to watch him get the title, right? So there was a moment where Oba was pinning Theory and Theory was pinning Oba, and Grayson pulled the referee out from the outside. What was Grayson just going to cheer on Theory? I don't know, man. Maybe some of you guys would. If you're Grayson and you can't make it in the ring in time, just help Theory out, man. Your boy's about to win the title. Maybe. If it's BC, I'm taking that referee out, man. I'm not just going to watch you win a title that I still can win. So, Theory's going to be upset. And it was painfully obvious that Grayson was willing to take out Theory in the process of capturing that dream of his, getting that championship. But I also don't know what anybody what do you expect? It's a triple threat, whether you're in there with your boys or not. But damn, there was also a moment where, was it Waller that stunned Theory? I think Waller stunned Theory. Yeah, Waller was just... Theory's not going to be happy, bro. And then it was Oba that pinned Waller. So I think Waller did stun Theory. Theory was out of the equation. And then Oba delivered his Oba bomb. And 1, 2, 3, Waller was done. So that's the match part of it. So that's that discussion. The wild thing is, after the matchup, the PC boys, again, this isn't real time, guys, but by the time you catch this tomorrow morning, that's why I'm calling this a Sunday review, even though it's later on a Saturday evening. But by the time you guys get this, maybe they'll have a name, we'll know exactly who's who, we'll know more about it. But in real time, guys, this is, I guess, what they're calling them, the Performance Center boy, the PC boys. So they came back. The lights went out. When they went back on, they were in the crowd. Then they went out again. When they came back on, they were attacking. And it was... I honestly, I don't understand. I don't understand what they're trying to go for. These type of factions, the way they're doing it, it doesn't really work today. Especially if you're just assembling a bunch of, and I don't mean this in any wrong way, but a bunch of nobodies. a bunch of, theoretically anyway, jobbers, man, until they reach any type of real success. And you could say, well, BC, this is the start of that. I hope. To me, it's a little too retribution-y, and it's a little too close to the Wyatts. That's the problem. If you guys saw this presentation, the lights go out, they flicker. Like one of my backlights right now is that's basically what they were doing. And all of a sudden, the music, it's a little too Wyatty and also retribution-y. So I'm just hoping that Shawn Michaels has a real vivid plan here and that these are the players that should be in this position. That's all I'm going to say about it, guys. But the PC boy, right? My question earlier was, are they just going to be more for the tag team scene and going for those tag titles? Or is this just going to be like a takeover of the entire brand? Well, we got our answer not long after, right? It looks like it's going to be a takeover of the brand. I have my reservations about this. I'm not going to be the Debbie Downer on this one, man. I'm not going to be the negative Nelson on this one. We're going to let it play out. I just hope they know what they're doing and they do it accurately and they think that these are the right individuals for this group. I'm just going to leave it at that. A lot to digest. The main event for the Women's Championship that Giulia currently holds. Cora Jade versus Bayley versus Roxanne Perez, Rok-C versus Giulia. Fatal 4-way for the title main event just started. I'm going to go get my coffee. When we come back, it'll be the final edit. We'll talk about how Vengeance Day 2025 ended in this championship matchup. All right, guys, we just went off the air. Vengeance Day 2025. The main event has concluded, and still your women's champion for NXT is Giulia. A lot to unpack with this matchup, including what went on post-match. And this is the real debut of this individual. I'll get to that in just a minute. The match itself, a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Guys, this could have went off the rails quickly, and there was a good chance that it wasn't going to get put back on the tracks. You just have really good wrestlers, but just in different stages right now. Bayley coming from the main roster and going to work with little Rok-C and Cora Jade in the time that she has recently missed. And Cora still has a lot to process, a lot to learn in this industry. And then Giulia, a consummate professional, top 5 in every list for years now for best wrestlers in the world. A lot of just contrasts. And you're asking them all to come together and putting a lot of weight on their shoulders, man, giving them the main event. They crushed it, I felt. Could it have been better in terms of more meaningful, more type of headlines coming out of it for the match itself? Of course. It doesn't have to be a spot fest, but maybe more that happened in the match that you're going to remember. When you think back and you go, remember that match, you truly want to remember it. I don't think there was enough of that. That is as brutally honest as I can give you. But that does not mean it was a bad match. Not at all. Again, a lot better than it could have been. So that's the good news. Giulia pulls out a pretty simplistic W here, guys. Just pins Rok-C at the end of this. Nothing over the top. Hits her finish. Everybody else is out of the ring at that time, and Rok-C is just looking up at the lights. So I truly feel like that's got to be the swan song. We've already seen Rok-C showing up front row to Raw, SmackDown, especially around Bayley matchups. So that's got to be it for Rok-C. She's pretty much done it all there. To lose like this, looking up at the lights in a Fatal 4, like Shawn Michaels looks at these 4 ladies, knows that one out of these 3, Giulia aside, one out of these 3, Cora Jade, Bayley, or Rok-C, has to eat this pin. They have to take the L. And Shawn Michaels says it's going to be Rok-C. It's got to mean that she is now officially pushed over to the main roster. I don't see any reason for her to stick around. I hope they don't keep her around just to rack up a bunch of L's before she gets shipped off to Raw and SmackDown, whichever. So that's the Rok-C part of it. She lost this. It looks like she is main roster bound. Giulia keeps her championship. That's the right call, obviously. Bayley, maybe this will finally put an end of Bayley showing up to every single show, because that's what's been happening. And there was this footage, by the way, recently on SmackDown. I didn't even get a chance to talk about this in the upload that I put out, the review for SmackDown. They actually played some footage of Liv Morgan and Raquel leaving the crime scene, if you will, when Jade got attacked. But if you notice, Bayley was also running out toward the ambulance. So you did see Bayley as well, just coming from a different direction. But who's to say that Bayley wasn't the person that attacked Jade? But no matter what, we've been seeing a lot of Bayley, and I can't say that any of it has truly been meaningful. So hopefully this just puts an end to that. She can stay on her new brand. What is it? Raw now, I believe. Is she on Raw? Yeah, I think she's on Raw. So that's the Bayley part of it. And then Cora Jade, again, she still has a lot that she needs to still learn, a lot of growth, a lot to process in this industry. She'll be just fine. But that was probably the weakest out of the link. Out of all four, that's probably the weakest. And that's saying something. So, yeah, Cora is well on her way. So that's individually my critique on this main event. Giulia takes the W. That is the right call. Post-match is where it got interesting, right? Stephanie comes out. Stephanie Vaquer, she comes out with her North American title, and they pose to the hard cam as the credits pull up. Paul Levesque, Lee Fitting, Shawn Michaels, they want you to know they're the ones that produced this whole shindig. So the credits are up, and Stephanie and Giulia are hoisting up those titles, and Stephanie is looking at Giulia's championship like, mine's nice, but I want yours. But it was just, they want you to see, like, this is the future of not just women's wrestling, but of NXT. Like, this is the division of all divisions. That's how they want to end the show. Stephanie and Giulia. And I told you guys earlier in this very review, and I've been saying this, when they both came to NXT, both around the same exact time, Michaels, Hunter Helmsley, they already knew that they were going to be duo champions. It's just about who wins what title. Giulia or Stephanie was going to win the NXT women's title, and the other one was going to win the North American. And that's exactly what happened. And tonight concluded that mission with Stephanie getting that North American title. And Giulia had already gotten hers from NXT, the NXT Women's Championship. So this just showed you that, right? This shows you that this was the plan all along. This is what they wanted. They wanted that visual of both of these ladies hoisting up those titles, and they got it. The big surprise came right before we ended the show, faded to black. The sirens went off. Sure enough, it was Jordynne Grace. This is why I say this is the official debut for Jordynne in WWE NXT. Of course, we've already seen her. We've seen her in the Royal Rumble for the main roster. We've seen her compete in NXT. We've seen her several times in NXT. This is the first time we're seeing her in WWE/NXT under contract with WWE NXT. Like, this is, and I would have put her right on the main roster, by the way, but I have no problem with, if they want to do a good 6 months bare minimum, tussling with ladies like, with Stephanie and Giulia. Just picture that as a triple threat, right? You have a Fatal 4 here. I'm not a big fan of schmoz matches, but these ladies ended the night, and you just look at that visual, and you're kind of like, are you kidding me? But not just that. Like, if she wants to rock with Sol Ruca, yeah, I'm more than okay with seeing a Sol Ruca Grace, or Grace and Jada Parker, or Lola, and there's just so many. And of course, a lot of people want to see Zarya and Grace because they're so evenly matched, at least visually. So I'm totally okay if you want to go 6 months to a year. She's just ready, man. She's been ready. She's main roster ready to hoist up main roster gold. But they put her in NXT, and I gotta say, this was a really welcoming surprise. It was so cool, because you had the ladies hoisting up their titles, and then they're like, who is this? And you got the new person on the block, Jordynne Grace, putting them on notice. I don't have any of those titles, and that's a problem. I want them both. She's looking at both. I want both of them. And that's how we faded to black and went off there. Vengeance Day, Jordynne Grace staring at the duo champions of Giulia and Stephanie. I think we can now officially say that NXT has the best women's roster, correct? AEW's is stacked to a degree, for sure. One of the best if not the best women's wrestler, I feel in Mercedes. I know she's maybe not well liked, but I feel Mercedes is the best of the best. And you have some good underlining with Toni Storm and others. But, I mean, the WWE main roster easily beats that out, right? I mean, even with some that are injured currently, but Asuka, Bianca Belair, your current champions are who? I got to remember who the current... Rhea Ripley. Who's the other champion? Tiffany Stratton. As long as she's been doing this, Tiffany, which is not a long time, Tiffany is one of the best female wrestlers on the planet, man. I've said this for the longest time. It's not a shock that she's hoisting the championship right now. But you look at Tiffany Stratton, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, the Asukas of the world, Bayley's, and Io Sky. Are you kidding me? The little Pitbull, even little Alpha Academy. What is her name? Oh, no, my bad. Creed Brothers. Ivy Nile. Even little Ivy. There's just so many ones that don't even get a lot of airtime. That's what makes WWE's main roster women, like, you don't think about it often because they're not booked properly, unfortunately. But WWE's main roster has a stacked women's roster, man. Second to none, if not for NXT. I have to say, NXT might be the best. Guys, Sol Ruka, do you see what Sol does in the ring? Do you see the star that Jada Parker already is? The Rok-C, Roxanne Perez, is one of the best. They may have just lost her to the main roster officially now full-time. We'll see. But as of right now, Rok-C. Two of the best of them. Come on, Stephanie, Giulia, and now Jordynne Grace. It just keeps going on and on. You can't even... Cora, Jade, and Lola Vice sometimes get knocked down a peg or two because of how much talent is in front of them. I think watching these three ladies end this show, it makes you realize NXT, I believe, has the best women's roster on the planet. It's wild. And that's how the show went off there. Before we end this review, a couple other things I want to note. Right before the main event, a couple of backstage segments. Ricky Starks has announced that this Tuesday he will be signing officially his NXT contract. He has already signed a WWE contract, guys. This is all kayfabe, all storyline. Perhaps we'll find out what he's going to be called. I don't know if Tony owns the Ricky Starks name or not, but he has not dropped that name yet. And I hope it's not a situation where Hunter just doesn't want to call him that. I hope he's not pulling a VKM. So we're going to find out. I really hope he's Ricky Starks. I can't see him as anything else. But that's going to be Tuesday, Ricky Starks. And also, guys, Ariana Grace was backstage having a segment with the Rock's daughter, Ava. And Ariana says, I want to introduce you to somebody. And here comes her dad, Santino Marella. I almost called him Santina. Remember he played his sister in the Rumble? I don't know why that almost slipped him. Santino Marella, man. I was never huge on the dude. I always thought he was funny. I was just, just a joke, just a side act. But it was really cool to see the dude, and he was really funny. And I guess he's called the Director of Authority in TNA, and he has his little badge on. And he's like, yeah, I've been doing a little something in TNA. I am now the Director of Authority. It's a little thing that I do. Like, trying to be humble about it, but all happy about his badge and all proud of himself. It was really funny. And then Ava said, I think you want to do some business? She walked out with Santino. So I think we're going to see more Santino. We're going to see a lot more TNA NXT, guys. I really do feel that TNA is being bought by WWE, or Endeavor, I should say, in the near future. We'll see. But Santino Marella showed up with Ariana Grace, and so that was a cool little backstage thing too. So all in all, man, this was a decent to even good event. Good at times for sure. Great? No, it was not. But for a little Saturday night special event, man, I could easily say that this was better than any of the Saturday night's main events we've recently seen from the main roster. So that's a plus. Hopefully you guys rocked out for this review, man. Thank you big time for tuning in on this special Sunday upload of the Amped Up show featuring NXT and talking about some Grand Slam Australia. Again, the spoilers. By the time I'm ending this review on this Saturday evening, it's still actually Grand Slam Australia will not be hitting their wave still for a couple hours, guys. So I don't know. A lot of people probably going to watch this at some point today when you guys are watching this on Sunday. But maybe all you're going to need is my spoilers, because again, it on paper, it doesn't sound like too much happened for AEW. But I'm glad we were at least able to talk about that and NXT Vengeance Day. Until next time, there will be that next time 44 dive. That's a wrap. BC in the unit saying deuces. Salute. Check you.